continue now at the top of Daf Chafam Aleph Meseches Taanis. This is Taanis Daf 20a. The Gemara here is continuing the story of Nakdimon ben Gurion. Again, the story was that Nakdimon ben Gurion borrowed some wells from a particular Adon, from a particular officer, and he said that he would pay back either all of those wells would be refilled by rain, or he would pay back a large amount of kesef. So now the deadline was coming to pay back. There was no rain yet, and so now the individual says to Nakdimon ben Gurion, "Va'achshav yerdu geshamim." You think now at the last minute, all of a sudden it's going to rain. You're clearly going to owe me the money. So nichnas leveis hamerchatz b'simcha. So he entered the beis hamerchatz. He was happy. Ad sha'adon nichnas b'simchas leveis hamerchatz. And while he was entering the bathhouse, because he was happy he was going to collect his money, Nakdimon nichnas leveis hamikdash kishu otzev. So Nakdimon, he entered the beis hamikdash. He was sad. Nisatef v'yamad b'tfilah. He wrapped himself up and he began to daven. And Amar lefanav ribona shalom. He said, Master of the world, Goloi v'yadua lefanecha. It's known before you. I didn't do this for my honor. I didn't do it for the honor of the household of my father. I did it for your honor. I wanted there to be water available for the Ole Regalim, so that's why I needed to borrow the wells from this particular individual. Immediately after he davened, the heavens became filled with clouds. And the rain came down until all of these 12 springs, these 12 wells of water, they were completely filled up. And there was even extra. When the master came out of the Beis HaMerchatz, Nakdimon ben Gurion yatsa mi Beis HaMikdash. At that same time, Nakdimon ben Gurion was exiting the Beis HaMikdash. When they met each other, Amar lo, he said to him, Tain li d'mei mayim yoser sheyesh li biyadcha. So Nakdimon said to the officer, I gave you more water back than I originally took. Now you owe me money. So Amar lo, so he said to him, Yodei ani shelo hirish HaKadosh Baruch Hu es olamo ela b'shvilcha. I know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he shook up the world. It was all for your sake that this happened. El adayin yesh li pischon pe'alecha. But still I have a argument against you. She'otzi mimcha es ma'osai, that I should get the money from you. Why? Shekvar shaka chamo geshamim b'reshusi yardu. Because really it rained too late. The sun was already set, and that's when it rained. So it's really already in my reshus that it rained, and you owe me the money. So Chazer v'nechnas lebeis hamikdash. So again, Nakdimon ben Gurion, he entered the beis hamikdash. Nesateh v'yamad b'tfilah, he wrapped himself up and he began to daven v'yamar lefanav ribona shalom. And he said, Master of the world, Hoda sheyesh l'cha ahuvim bo'olamecha. Let it be known that there are those who are beloved in your world, that there are those who are beloved to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Miyad nispazru ha'avim v'zarcha acham. At that point, the clouds all dispersed and the sun shone. B'yosasha, at that moment, Amar lo ha'adon. So the master said to him, Ilu lo niktara achama. If not for the fact that the sun pierced through, I would have had an argument against you. Sha'otzi mimcha ma'osai. I would have been able to take from you my money, but now it's clear again that it rained on time, and therefore you don't owe me any money. And the Gemara continues, Tana was taught, Lo Nakdimon Shemo. His real name was not Nakdimon, Elabuni Shemo. Really, his name was Buni. V'lama nikra Shemo Nakdimon. Why was he called Nakdimon? Sheniktar achama ba'avuro. Because again, the sun pierced through the skies for his sake. And the Gemara continues, Tana Rabban and the rabbis taught, Shlosha niktamu lahem chama ba'avuro. And there were 3 individuals who the sun came through at irregular times on their behalf. Moshe, V'Yoshua, v'Nakdimon ben Gurion. Moshe, Yoshua, and Nakdimon ben Gurion. And the Gemara says, B'shlama Nakdimon ben Gurion. It's correct what you say about Nakdimon ben Gurion Gemara. We already said that's a tradition that we just wrote above. Yoshua nami kra d'chsiv. Yoshua also, it's a pasuk. It's written in the pasuk, Vayidom Hashemesh v'yarei hachomad. Again, it talks about the fact that the sun, it stood still. Ela Moshe minolam. But by Moshe, from where do we know that again the sun broke from its regular pattern on his behalf? Amar Rebbe Elazar says, Asya achel achel. We make a Gzera Shav, it says achel by Moshe, and it says achel by Yoshua, like we just quoted. It happened by Yoshua. Ksivach, it says over here, achel teis pachtecha. That's a pasuk written in reference to Moshe Rabbeinu. Ksiv hasam, and it says over there, achel gadelcha. Again, so from these 2 psukim, the Gzera Shav, we say it happened by Moshe Rabbeinu as well. Rabbi Shmuel bar Nachmani, Rabbi Shmuel bar Nachmani says, Asya teis. We make a Gzera Shav, teis. Same idea, but a different word. Ksivacha, achel teis pachtecha. It says the word taste by Moshe Rabbeinu. And it says over there by Yoshua, Biyom Teis Hashem, so Amori, so again, uses the word by Yoshua and by Moshe. So the same thing that happened by Yoshua happened to Moshe. Rabbi Yochanan says, Asyu migufe dekra. We can actually learn it out from the pasuk by Moshe himself. We don't need to resort to a Gzera Shava. The pasuk says, Asher Yishmun Shemacha, v'ragzu v'chalom mipanecha. They're going to hear of your reputation, and they're going to tremble from before you. What does that mean? When did the other nations, when would they tremble before HaKadosh Baruch Hu from in front of you? It's exactly what happened over here. The sun broke its regular pattern for Moshe Rabbeinu. All the other nations saw that. They saw the sun doing that, and therefore they trembled before HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The Gemara continues at the Tudah, quoting the Mishnah of it talks about the fact that you have one city where it doesn't rain and one city where it does rain. And the Gemara says, Amar Rav Yudah Marav, Rav Yudah says in the name of Rav, Ushteihen L'Klola. Both of them, it's really for a curse. And Rashi over here explains, Shteihen L'Klola Akrokoi. This statement over here is going on the Pasuk. The Pasuk says, on one city I'm going to bring rain, on the other city I'm not going to bring rain. Shneim L'Klola, they're both really for a curse. Osa Sheyamter Aleh Rov Geshamim Shemekalkel. In the Satzvua, one is going to be too much rain to the extent that it ruins the crops. The other one, there's going to be no rain, not enough rain, and nothing's going to grow. So the idea is, even though the simple reading of the pasuk might be that the one that gets rain, it's a blessing for that city, and the one that doesn't get rain, it's a curse, but what we mean to say over here is no, shtein l'klala. They're both for curse. That's what Rav Yehuda is saying in the name of Rav. And the Gemara now brings other psukim, which Rav Yehuda says in the name of Rav, similar kinds of drushes. It says, Haisu Yerushalayim l'nida beineim. Yerushalayim is compared to a nida. Amar Rav Yehuda Marav, Rav Yehuda says in the name of Rav Livracha. This actually, again, it sounds like a curse, but it's really a blessing. Kinida, it's compared to a nida. Manida yeshla heter, just like a nida eventually gets a heter. Af Yerushalayim yeshla takana, so too there'll be something to fix for Yerushalayim. A nida ultimately doesn't stay a nida, it ends, and so too by Yerushalayim there's going to be a fix, there's going to be a redemption. Haisa kalmana, the pasuk also says it's like a widow. Again, the same idea. Amar Rav Yehuda says Livracha, this also is a blessing. Ke'almana v'lo almana mamish. It means to say that Yerushalayim is like an almana, but not really an almana. Ela ki'isha shehalach ba'ala l'medinas hayam. Yerushalayim is like a woman whose husband traveled overseas. V'daito lachzor aleh, and he has in mind that he's going to return to her. So to HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to return. V'gam ani nasati eschem nivzim u'shvolim. It says that you're going to be like disgraced and lowly in front of the other nations. Same idea. Amar Rav Yehuda says lebracha. This also is a blessing. The lo mukmi minon lo reishi nahari v'lo gezirifti. That way we're not appointed by the other nations of the world. We're not appointed to oversee the rivers. We're not appointed in certain government positions. This makes it that they stay away from appointing us to these jobs. And the Gemara continues, V'hika Hashem es Yisrael kasher yonen hakone b'mayim. The pasuk says that Hashem is going to hit Yisrael the same way that a reed gets hit around in the water. Amar Rav Yehuda Marav, Rav Yehuda says in the name of Rav Lebracha, this also is a bracha, it's a blessing. The Amar Rabbi Shmuel bar Nachmeni, Amar Rabbi Yonasan, because Rabbi Shmuel bar Nachmeni says in the name of Rabbi Yonasan, basically it says that the hits that you get from someone that loves you is better than the kisses that you get from someone who hates you. What that pasuk means is as follows. Tova klala shekil al Achia Hashiloni as Yisrael. The curse that Achia Hashiloni gave Israel, it's better. Yosumi bracha shabirchan bilam harash. It's better than the blessing that they got from bilam harash. In other words, Achia Hashiloni is considered our friend, the one who loves us, and he gave a curse, but the curse in it, there's a blessing in the curse. And it's the exact opposite by Bilam. Bilam gave a blessing, and within the blessing is a curse. Achia Hashiloni kilon bekane. That's the pasuk we quoted above. Achia Hashiloni says a curse, and he compares them to a reed. Amar lehem li Yisrael v'ika Hashem es Yisrael kasher yonan hakone. Talks about the fact that Hashem will hit Israel like the reed. What does that mean? So the Gemara says it means as follows. When it comes to a reed, it's standing in a place of water. The shoots can also replenish themselves. There's many roots. And even if all the winds in the world come and blow against it, they don't uproot the kana. It blows together with the wind. And the Gemara continues, when the wind settles down, the reed is in exactly the same place. It's not uprooted. But when it comes to Bilam Arasha, Birchan Be'eres, he blessed Klal Yisrael, and he compared them to a cedar tree. Shenamar, like it says, Ka'arozim alemoyim. What's with the cedar tree? It doesn't stand in a place of water. Its shoots do not replenish themselves. They don't have a lot of roots. And when the wind comes, it stays exactly in its place. It doesn't blow together with the wind. But when the southern wind comes, Okarto can uproot the whole tree, and turn it over on its face. And not only that, when it comes to the reed has a special merit that we make the quill from the reed, lichtov bo, sefer Torah, neviim uksuvim, to write with it Sefer Torah, Nevi'im, Uksuvim. So that's the same idea over here. The pasuk over here, even though it's a curse, it's somewhat of a blessing that we're compared to a kana, we're compared to a reed. And the Gemara continues, Tana Rabbanan, the rabbis taught, Liolam yehei adam rach kekana v'hal yehei kosha ke'erez. A person should always be soft like a reed and not hard like a cedar. Ma'isa shabar b'losu Rabbi Shimon. There was a story where Rabbi Shimon came in Migdal Gedor, mi beis Rabbo. He came from Migdal Gedor, from the house of his Rebbe. V'yarochav al chamor. He was riding on a donkey. U'mitayel as fasanor. He was going along the banks of the river. V'samach simcha gedol, and he was very happy. V'yisadaito gasa olav, and he was also getting arrogant. V'nei shalom Torah harbe, because he learned a lot of Torah. We'll continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Chaf Amud Beis.